Look at this glass of water. Looks clean, right? Crystal clear, straight from the kitchen tap. Now, would you let your 7-year-old daughter drink it? Because the Miller family did, every single day, for 14 months. In 2021, Rachel and David Miller bought their dream home in Atlanta, Georgia. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a big backyard, $420,000. Good school district. Everything they'd worked for. But from the very first week, something was off. The water tasted like melted plastic, not strong enough to spit out, just enough to notice, just enough to wonder. Stay with me on this one. Because what the Millers discovered inside their walls is happening right now in millions of American homes, and nobody is talking about it. The kids started getting rashes, small red patches on their arms, their necks. Rachel took them to the pediatrician twice. They tried new detergents, new soaps, new shampoos. Nothing worked. Then David did something most homeowners never do. He pulled out a water testing kit from Amazon. $19. And the results changed everything. The water at the city meter, perfectly clean. The water coming out of their kitchen faucet, contaminated with MTBE and TBA, chemical compounds that were leaching from the plastic pipes inside their walls, 12 parts per billion. That's the threshold where these chemicals become a health concern according to the EPA. The Miller's kitchen tap tested at 43. If that number scared you, we're only getting started. This channel exists for people who refuse to accept that's just how it's done. Subscribe, because what comes next will make you want to test your own water tonight. To understand how your water gets poisoned, you have to understand a decision that was made for you decades ago. A decision about pipes, and it was made entirely based on money. For most of the 20th century, American homes used copper pipes. Copper is naturally antimicrobial. It doesn't leach chemicals. It lasts 80 to 100 years. Your grandparents' house probably still has copper pipes, and they probably still work perfectly. But copper is expensive. In 2023, copper piping costs roughly $4.50 per linear foot installed. That adds up to about $6,000 for a typical home. So in the 1970s, builders started looking for alternatives. And they found polybutylene, a gray, flexible plastic pipe that cost a fraction of copper. Builders loved it. They used it in an estimated 10 million American homes between 1978 and 1995. And then the pipes started exploding, not metaphorically, literally. Polybutylene reacts with chlorine in municipal water. The chlorine slowly eats through the plastic from the inside out. Microcracks form. Then one Tuesday morning, your entire kitchen is flooded. The lawsuits were massive. Cox v. Shell Oil Company resulted in a $950 million class action settlement in 1995, the largest plumbing settlement in American history, and polybutylene was effectively banned. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The industry didn't go back to copper. They found a new plastic. They called it PEX. PEX stands for cross-linked polyethylene, and on paper it looks like the perfect solution. Flexible, easy to install, resistant to freezing, and cheap. About 75 cents per foot for the good stuff, 30 cents for the cheap stuff. And that difference, 45 cents per foot, is where your health problems begin. There are 3 types of PEX: PEX-A, PEX-B, and PEX-C. They're not just different grades. They're manufactured using completely different chemical processes, and the difference matters more than most plumbers will ever tell you. PEX-A uses the Engel method, peroxide cross-linking at high temperature. The result is a pipe with uniform molecular bonds throughout the entire wall thickness. It's the strongest, the most flexible, and the most resistant to chlorine degradation. PEX-B uses the silane method. It's faster to manufacture, cheaper to produce. But the cross-linking is less uniform. The molecular structure has weak spots, and those weak spots are where the chlorine attacks. Now guess which one your builder installed. If you bought a production home built after 2005, the answer is almost certainly PEX-B, because PEX-B saves the builder approximately $400 per house. $400. Remember that number, because you're about to see what the other number is. I didn't know any of this before making this video. I assumed all PEX was the same. Red for hot, blue for cold, job done. I was wrong, and that ignorance is exactly what the industry counts on. Let me show you what happens inside a PEX-B pipe over time. Municipal water in most American cities contains between 1 and 4 milligrams per liter of free chlorine. That chlorine is there to kill bacteria. It does a great job at that, but it also attacks plastic. In a PEX-B pipe, chlorine breaks the carbon-hydrogen bonds in the polyethylene chain. This creates microcracks in the pipe wall. Those cracks are invisible to the naked eye, but they allow chemicals from the pipe itself to leach into your water. The chemicals have names: MTBE, methyl tert butyl ether; TBA, tert butyl alcohol; ETBE, ethyl tert butyl ether. These are not naturally occurring in water. They come from the pipe manufacturing process, and they stay in the pipe wall until chlorine frees them. I spent 3 days reading studies from the Water Research Foundation for this. Study number 4414, published in 2015. They tested 12 different PEX pipes from 6 manufacturers. Every single PEX-B pipe leached detectable levels of MTBE and TBA. Every one. But I haven't told you the worst part yet. The leaching doesn't decrease over time. In some PEX-B pipes, it actually increases. The older the pipe gets, the more the chlorine has degraded the molecular structure, and the more chemicals leak into your water. The EPA sets a health advisory level for MTBE at 20 to 40 parts per billion. Not a legal limit, an advisory. There is no legal limit for MTBE in drinking water in the United States. Let that sink in. 20 to 40 parts per billion is an advisory. The Miller's water tested at 43, and some homes in a 2018 study by Virginia Tech tested as high as 270 parts per billion. 270. That's not a leaky pipe. That's a chemical delivery system. Quick question for everyone watching. Do you know what kind of pipes are in your walls right now? Do you know if they're PEX-A or PEX-B? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I bet the answer tells us something. Rachel Miller sat at the kitchen table on the night they got the test results back. She had a calculator. She had 3 quotes from Plumbers, and she had a daughter with rashes that wouldn't go away. The cheapest quote to repipe the entire house with PEX-A was $12,000. The most expensive was $18,000. Not one plumber could guarantee the rashes would stop, because not one plumber would confirm the pipes were the cause. That's the trap. The chemical levels are below any legal threshold, because there is no legal threshold, so nobody is legally responsible. Not the pipe manufacturer, not the builder, not the city. You are alone with your 43 parts per billion and your daughter's rashes. But the real problem isn't the Miller family. The real problem is scale. and the scale is staggering. An estimated 60% of new homes built in the United States since 2010 use PEX piping. That's roughly 600,000 homes per year. The vast majority use PEX-B because it's the cheapest option available. 600,000 homes per year. For 13 years. Do the math. That's almost 8 million homes with PEX-B pipes installed since 2010 alone. 8 million families drinking water that passes through plastic that may be leaching chemicals. This part makes me angry. Actually angry. Because the science has been clear since at least 2015. The Water Research Foundation published the data. The EPA knows. The plumbing industry knows. And nothing has changed. Let me show you why nothing has changed. Follow the money. The three largest PEX manufacturers in America control roughly 70% of the residential market. Their combined revenue from PEX tubing alone exceeds $2 billion annually. PEX-B is their highest margin product because it's the cheapest to produce. If every builder switched from PEX-B to PEX-A tomorrow, the cost per home would increase by $400. Across 600,000 homes per year, that's $240 million in additional costs. But here's the calculation that keeps the system running. That $400 the builder saves generates an average $12,000 repiping job within 15 to 20 years. The plumbing industry doesn't just sell you the pipe, they sell you the replacement. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying the math works perfectly for everyone except you. The homeowner, the person drinking the water. Remember the polybutylene disaster? $950 million in settlements? Here's what I found when I pulled the SEC filings. Several of the companies that manufactured polybutylene pivoted directly into PEX production. Different pipe, same business model, same molecular gamble with your health. That's bad. What I'm about to show you is worse, because there's a test that could have caught this before the Millers ever moved in. A water quality test at the point of use, your kitchen faucet, costs between $80 and $150. It takes 48 hours to get results. It tests for VOCs, including MTBE and TBA. And it would have told the Millers exactly what was in their water before they signed the closing documents. But no home inspector in America routinely tests for chemical leaching from pipes. They check for leaks. They check water pressure. They check the water heater. They never test what's actually in the water coming out of the pipe. Why? Because the standard home inspection protocol, developed by the American Society of Home Inspectors, doesn't require it. The protocol was last significantly updated in 2014, before the Water Research Foundation published their study on PEX leaching. David Miller eventually found the solution himself. 3 nights on plumbing forums, Reddit, Contractor Talk, a Facebook group called PEX Problems that has 11,000 members. 11,000 people talking about the same issue, and it still hasn't made the evening news. The first solution was immediate. A whole house-activated carbon filtration system installed at the main water entry point. The unit cost $2,800 installed. Carbon filtration removes MTBE and TBA from water with 97% efficiency. Within 2 weeks of installing the filter, the kids' rashes started clearing up. Rachel cried, not because of the rashes, because she'd spent 14 months not knowing why her children were suffering, and the answer had been inside the walls the entire time. But carbon filtration is a Band-Aid. The filters need replacement every 6 to 12 months. The annual maintenance cost is about $350, and the source of the contamination, the PEX-B pipes themselves, is still there, still leaching, still degrading. 12 parts per billion. Remember that number. Because with the carbon filter, the miller's water dropped from 43 to less than 2. The difference between a health concern and safety was a $2,800 filter that their builder could have included for a fraction of the cost. So the millers made the permanent fix. They had the entire house repiped. Not with PEX-B, not with copper, which would have cost $22,000. They chose PEX-A, the Engel method, peroxide cross-linked tubing, $8,500. The plumber who did the job told David something that stuck with me. He said, "I've been doing this for 20 years. Every repipe job I do on a house built after 2005 is replacing PEX-B with PEX-A, every single one." The builders know, they just don't care. The builders know. That phrase stayed with me for 3 days after I recorded that conversation. They know, and $400 is the price of not caring. Now let me tell you about the elephant in the room, the pipe manufacturer's defense. Because I called them. I called 2 of the 3 largest PEX manufacturers and asked them directly. The first company's PR department sent me a 2-paragraph email. It said, "All our products meet or exceed ASTM standards and NSF certifications for potable water applications." Translation, we pass the minimum test. The NSF certification for PEX, NSF 61, tests for initial leaching. The test runs for 30 days in a laboratory. 30 days. Your pipe will be in your walls for 30 years. The test that certifies your water pipe as safe runs for less than 0.1% of the pipe's service life. I pulled the NSF 61 testing protocol. It uses deionized water, not chlorinated municipal water. They test the pipe with pure water. But your pipe will spend its entire life carrying chlorinated water. The very substance that causes the degradation isn't present in the safety test. That's not a loophole. That's a canyon. The second manufacturer's representative was more honest. Off the record, he told me, "Everybody in the industry knows PEX-B has leaching issues. The data is clear. But until there's a regulation or a major lawsuit, nothing will change. That's how this industry works." Until there's a regulation or a major lawsuit. Sound familiar? That's exactly what happened with polybutylene. They knew it was failing. They waited for the lawsuits. They paid $950 million. And then they moved on to the next plastic pipe. But here's where the story changes direction. Because there is something you can do, and it costs a lot less than $12,000. Step 1. Test your water. Not the city's water, your water. The water that comes out of your kitchen faucet after sitting in your pipes overnight. An overnight stagnation test is the gold standard. Turn off all water before bed. In the morning, collect the first draw from your kitchen cold tap without flushing. Send it to a certified lab. Cost, $80 to $150. Step 2. Find out what pipes you have. Check your home inspection report. Look in the utility room where pipes are visible. PEX-B pipes are typically marked with PEX-B or ASTM F877 directly on the pipe. If your home was built between 2005 and 2020 and uses PEX, it's very likely PEX-B. Step 3. If your test comes back above 12 parts per billion for MTBE or TBA, install a whole house activated carbon filter immediately. This is your bridge solution while you plan the permanent fix. Cost, $2,500 to $3,500. Step 4. If you're buying a new home, add this sentence to your purchase agreement. Buyer requires written confirmation of pipe type, manufacturer, and ASTM specification for all potable water piping. If the builder refuses, that tells you everything you need to know. 12 parts per billion. That's the line between safe and not safe. $3 per foot is the line between PEX-B and PEX-A. $400 total is the difference between a builder who cares about your water and one who doesn't. For homeowners who are building custom homes, specify PEX-A by name. Upponner or Mr. PEX are the two largest PEX-A manufacturers. Your plumber will know them. The extra cost is negligible. The peace of mind is not. About 80,000, actually, closer to 120,000 American homeowners will discover water quality issues from their plumbing this year alone. Most will blame the city. Most will buy a Brita filter. Most will never look inside the wall.